Welcome back to our series on the Big O. As mentioned in the previous video, I feel that the Big O is a character story, and as such I'd like to get back to another one of the characters of the show. In the video about Schwarzwald, I mentioned how I found him to be the inverse of another character, Alan Gabriel. And while Alan Gabriel is probably the least significant character I will dedicate a video to, this image of inverses inspired me to type up this script next. This is because the Schwarzwald video helped me appreciate the point of Alan, who, at first glance, seems to be a really tertiary character. However, he does serve an important task to convey some of the same themes and ideas to the viewer that Schwarzwald's character did. But who is this inverse? Who is this Alan Gabriel? Alan Gabriel is a mysterious assassin who first appears in episode 15. In it, he shows up near the end, shoots an old man android, and then proceeds to steal his compact disc memory. This establishes Alan as a psychopathic killer, who for some reason hates androids even though he is half android, and it also sets the tone for the rest of his appearances. Though he appears in many episodes after 15, his most important appearances are in episode 20, where he tries to kill Dorothy and is shown to be a mutant agent, though of especially dubious loyalty, who later defects to Rosewater in exchange for Big Duo, and episode 24, where Big Duo, whom Alan has now taken over, extracts retribution upon the man. In terms of plot significance, Alan serves to create an extra threat to the main cast and spice up the Union threat. But that's about it. However, as mentioned earlier, the plot is of secondary importance in this show, and Alan serves other more important purposes throughout his appearances. Alan's character is an interesting and mysterious one, as he is not given much of a backstory and prefers to let his actions do all the talking, all of which rather crass. While most of the characters seem to be bothered by their lack of knowledge of the truth, or at least the true events of 40 years ago, they're all open to learning it and developing their own personal truths. Alan seems to be having the time of his life whenever he's on screen though, and never seeks any truths. He even claims there is no truth, and as a violent nihilist, relishes in this. He only seeks to destroy. He does not do this to spread some idea or enforce some greater point, but purely because he can. He wants to spread as much chaos and do as much damage in as many ways as possible. All because he can, and because there's no reason not to in his eyes. Where Schwarzwald's flaw was that he wanted to know everything and tried to zoom out as much as possible to see the whole picture, Alan Gabriel cares to know nothing, and consequently zooms in on himself as much as possible. This is an even more grievous flaw and serves to be his downfall. This all sets Alan up as the ultimate foil to Schwarzwald, and an important part of the cast, as he is the sole character to state there is no truth, and doesn't really seem to care about any truth. He states there's no real point to anything other than oneself. While some characters are ambivalent to learning the truth of 40 years ago, or molding their own truths, they all have some higher purpose or goal. That's not to say a religious one, but something that supersedes them, some greater context of their lives. Again, this depends on the characters. It could be professional, like for Dan Dotson and his police responsibilities. It could be personal, how Roger Smith seeks to protect the citizens of Paradigm. Or it could be some greater goal. Alex Rosewater wants to recreate society, for example. The point is, all the other characters have some greater purpose they're working to. Alan is the sole character to say there is none, however. No truth, no point to anything. He serves as the show's response to those questioning the idea of needing a truth or higher purpose or goal or power. If Alan was not around, the viewer would have no answer to the perfectly reasonable questions of, do these people need truths? Is truth real? Why should I care about the truth? Alan's presence, however, serves to answer all these questions in a way congruent to the themes of the importance of having your own truth, and the greater truth that is possible. To answer the first question, Alan proves the need for a truth and how his character lacks a deeper point. What I mean by this is that his character does not really have any motivations beneath his psychotic desire and violent tendency. He has no sweeping vision or trieste, he has no great cause or even motivation, really. He kinda just hangs around and does his own thing. There's no real point to him above meeting his shallow goals of violence and destruction. As such, his character is shallow and lacks growth. In fact, he cannot really grow as a character. He's limiting himself without having a higher purpose. What this means is that he's simply a shell of a man. Perhaps this explains why he hates androids, because ironically, even they have their own goals and truths, and as such are more human than he is, even if not literally. As noted earlier, truth in this context can mean anything which people seek to give greater context to their lives. greater meaning. This can be anything from the love of those around you, to the worship of a god or deity, or historical ties or purposes. Anything, really. Any greater goal that supersedes you. It could be a great cause, such as inventing something that would help millions, or it could be a simple cause, like being a loving father, or son, or spouse. The point is, everyone needs some kind of goal. Alan, however, has none of that, and he doesn't even have loyalty to anyone other than himself. He has discarded the context with which to frame his aspirations, and as such cannot really have any. He's a twisted and nihilistic jester of a man, one committed to burning everything around him. To answer the second question, the Big O states that there are many truths, and many may be correct in certain ways and at certain times, and there's no definite single truth. While some people may only seek one, and others pick and choose which they employ, Alan is unique in that he chooses to embrace and employ none beyond himself. This is why he is punished so directly by Big Duo. While Big Fow disobeys Alex Rosewater until he hijacks it using Dorothy's memory core, Big Fow does not outright kill Alex Rosewater or deem him guilty. It simply deems him not worthy. However, Alan Gabriel is directly killed by Big Duo. This is because while Rosewater is a horrible narcissist, even he has some kind of greater goal which extends beyond himself, even if it's not a good goal. He still has human moments though. He's proud, he's dominant, and he even cries after he seemingly kills his father. He's still a human being, even if an unlikable one. He is still developing, even if for the worst. And he is still pursuing a bigger picture, even if it's an ugly one. He is recognized as a human, even if an incomplete and bad one. Alan, on the other hand, sinks so far into his passion for wanton violence and destruction that he has stripped himself of his last bastion of humanity. He has renounced it in order to ascend to whatever state he claims to be in, and his unchecked arrogance is driven by a lack of purpose. He has denied truth to himself and has attempted to become the sole arbiter of truth to others. As such, he tries to play God, and for trying to fly too high, he has paid the price via direct retribution from Big Duo. This series of events both proves that there is some sort of higher power above humans, if not necessarily God or institutional, some kind of vague universal force that was hinted at earlier and throughout the series, some kind of cosmic energy. That's also why it's important for everyone to have their own truth. People need some kind of truth because it gives them a point and keeps them from arrogance. It both inspires them to greatness and can hold them back from folly. It leads people to pursue growth in a healthy way by staying true to themselves as much as possible in order to grow in ways conducive to their greater goals. With no truth of his own, however, Alan Gabriel has no real point of his own, and has only embraced arrogance. This in turn directly leads to his downfall, as he has no greater perspective, or cares, or goals, or anything really, and as such commits to great folly for which he is consumed. As with no truth, Alan Gabriel cannot be even true to himself.